What lies beyond the wall? Jon Snow's untold story continues. The next chapter in the saga of the White Wolf. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel where fantasy meets strategy and nostalgia fuels our digital adventures. When the screen faded to black at the end of Game of Thrones, and Jon Snow rode into the haunted wilderness beyond the wall, it marked the end of an era, but also the beginning of a mystery. Banished for killing Daenerys Targaryen, stripped of claim, title, and home, Jon rode north not as a king or a knight, but as a man, haunted by ghosts, burdened by secrets, and reborn in exile. But what happened next? What lies beyond the wall, in the frostbitten realms where the maps end? What forces stir in the deep snow, long forgotten by the kingdoms of men? And could Jon Snow's story still be unfolding, far from the thrones, but closer than ever to destiny? In this deep dive, we embark on a journey into the untold continuation of Jon Snow's life beyond the wall. We'll explore ancient lore, fan theories, George R.R. Martin's hidden hints, and the future that could redefine everything we know about the North. Because this isn't the end. It's just the next chapter. This is Jon Snow's untold story. This is What Lies Beyond the Wall. The Last Ride North. The final moments of Game of Thrones show Jon Snow, cloaked in black, passing through the gates of Castle Black with the free folk. Ghost by his side, Tormund leading the way, and the snow falling quietly. No words, no coronation, no legacy, just Jon, leaving it all behind. To many, this scene was a quiet ending. A poetic exile, a man who gave everything finally getting peace. But others saw it as something else, a beginning. Let's examine what we know. The White Walkers are defeated. The Night King is dead. The wall still stands, damaged, but holding. The free folk are free. So why go north? Because Jon's story has always been tied to the north, not just geographically, but spiritually. It's where he became a man. Where he died and was reborn. Where he learned to lead, to love, to sacrifice. And beyond the wall is where the oldest magic sleeps. Jon doesn't just ride into snow. He rides into myth. And as we'll soon uncover, beyond that ancient wall lies a realm untouched by time, and Jon is walking straight into the unknown. The lore of the true North. Before Westeros became the Seven Kingdoms, before Aegon's conquest, before even the first men, there was the true North. According to legend, the lands beyond the wall once belonged to a vast, mysterious people, giants, skin changers, greenseers, and children of the forest. The magic there predates Valyria. It predates dragons. It predates even human civilization. When the wall was built over 8,000 years ago, it wasn't just a barrier. It was a seal, a boundary separating the known world from something older, darker, and far more dangerous. But with the Night King gone and magic shifting, what was sealed may now be stirring again. Fan theories and Westerosi myths speak of the frozen sea, where ice never melts and time moves strangely. The pale shadows, creatures of fog and memory said to feed on dreams. The Ice Spire, an ancient mountain of frozen crystal that was once a temple of the old gods. And the Whispering Forest, where trees bleed blue sap and speak in tongues no human remembers. Jon Snow, now unbound by duty, could be the first man in thousands of years to truly explore the forgotten heart of the North. And as we'll see in the next chapter, there may be more than myth waiting in the snow. A new night falls. So here's the big question. What threat could still exist now that the Night King is dead? The answer may lie in a legend even older than the White Walkers, the story of the Ice Priests, an ancient cult that predated even the first men. According to ancient scrolls Samwell Tarly once glimpsed in the Citadel, there was a time before the Long Night when a splinter cult of greenseers traveled far into the north and merged their essence with the winter itself. These were men who no longer felt heat, who saw the world through snowflakes, who became echoes of the cold. They were driven underground when the children of the forest discovered their rituals. But some say the Ice Priests survived, hibernating, hidden beneath the glaciers and caves of the farthest north. And now, with the Night King's power extinguished, a vacuum has opened. The balance between fire and ice is unstable. Jon Snow's presence, his blood, his magic, his legacy, may be awakening forces drawn to him like a lodestone. The free folk whisper of shadow beasts returning to the forest, of northern lights that flicker with strange symbols, of dreams that freeze the soul. Jon Snow, once the slayer of the dead, now becomes the hunted. The ghosts he carries. But not all of Jon's battles lie in the snow. Some follow him within. Jon carries a burden unlike any other character in Westeros. The guilt of killing Daenerys Targaryen. The betrayal of a woman he loved. The knowledge of his true identity, Aegon Targaryen, rightful heir to the throne. And the trauma of dying, being resurrected, and bearing the expectations of prophecy. In his dreams, Jon sees her, Daenerys, draped in ash. Sometimes forgiving him, sometimes cursing him, sometimes whispering truths he doesn't understand. He sees Ygritte. He sees his brothers of the Night's Watch. He sees Longclaw in flames. What if the magic of the North, wild, ancient, untamed, is feeding off these memories? What if Jon's mind is the new battlefield? The further north he travels, the more his past unravels before him, not as memories but as visions. Some fans suggest Jon may even be developing latent Targaryen powers, like dragon dreams, prophetic visions, or even resistance to cold. Could he become the new three-eyed raven? Or something even stranger, a hybrid of Stark resilience, Targaryen blood, and the wild magic of the free folk? What if Jon isn't just walking beyond the wall? What if he's transforming, the last free king, with no crown, no banners, and no ties to the south? Jon Snow now finds himself among the free folk, people who follow no king, no law, no gods. But they follow him, because Jon earned their respect in life and death. He fought for them, he bled for them, he died for them. He may not want power, but power is once again gravitating toward him. Some tribal leaders begin calling him the Iceborn, a name passed down from free folk stories about a warrior who would rise after the death of winter and unite the clans of the north. Jon rejects the title, of course. But as settlements grow and monsters stir, the people look to him for leadership. Could Jon become the first true free king? Not of Westeros, not of the Seven Kingdoms, but of the wild north, a realm untouched by thrones, where survival is strength and legends still breathe. Imagine a new society, where giants and men share land, where direwolves run free, where children learn the old tongue and honor the old gods. Where Jon Snow finally finds peace not in solitude, but in purpose. Perhaps the wall wasn't his prison, but his doorway to destiny. The future of the North. While Jon builds his new life, the South watches. Bran the Broken, now king of Westeros, keeps his eyes beyond the wall. He knows Jon is alive. He knows he's changing, and though he says nothing, he sees everything. What if Bran's visions show a new threat rising? What if he must one day call Jon back? Or worse, what if Westeros itself becomes the threat, and the free folk must fight to remain free? As kingdoms rebuild and politics churn, tales begin to reach Winterfell of Jon the Iceborn, Jon the Silent King, Jon of the Ghost Flame. Some fear him, some worship him, some seek to destroy him. And what of Arya? Sailing west beyond the Sunset Sea, she might encounter secrets that echo what Jon now sees in the snow. Her path could lead her back, not to battle, but to understand. And together, the Stark children, scattered and changed, might one day return to the source of all power, the land beyond the wall. Because in the end, it's not just about Jon Snow. It's about the future of Westeros, the balance of magic, and what the world becomes when the wall is no longer a boundary, but a bridge. Jon Snow's story didn't end in King's Landing. It didn't end at Castle Black. It didn't even end when he crossed the wall. It's only just begun. Beyond the wall lies danger, magic, myth, and rebirth. It holds answers to ancient questions, and raises new ones. It is the place where history sleeps, and heroes awaken. And Jon Snow, the last Targaryen, the White Wolf, the Iceborn, walks its path not as a king, but as a man finally forging his own fate. Because sometimes the greatest journeys begin where the road ends. Thank you for watching. If you loved this journey into the frozen realms of Westeros, hit that like button, subscribe for more lore deep dives and Thrones theories, and let us know in the comments. What do you think lies beyond the wall? Until next time, Valar Morghulis.